Where do you start reading Aristotle and why you should start reading him now? There is this mysterious story that you rarely hear today. It's a story of how 2000 years ago, Alexander the Great sent a very angry letter to his teacher, Aristotle. He wanted to know why his master had published works that were reserved for select few, for a privileged group of people. Knowledge gave them power. An edge, wrote Alexander, and publishing those works would blunt that edge. It is rare when we hear such stories from Alexander the Great and Aristotle having secret knowledge that gave one an edge over everyone else. And yet what is mind-blowing, it's not this secrecy, but Aristotle's response. Because he essentially replied to this letter and said, yes, it is published, and yet unpublished. It is available to anyone, but it will yield only to those who are ready to put genuine effort. It is mind-blowing because essentially Aristotle says, imagine sheet music sitting on the piano. Those who are musically trained will be able to look at that sheet music and play those beautiful notes on the piano and hear the beautiful piano concerto that it contains. But those who are not properly instructed, who haven't put practice, will never hear that beauty. And for 2000 years, most people walked past this secret knowledge, this metaphorical piano, never knowing what is sitting there. The books that I'm going to suggest and share here will help you to get that edge that Alexander tried to hide. They'll teach you how you can decipher the wisdom of Aristotle and what Alexander wanted to keep secret, the same wisdom that Aristotle revealed when he published those works. Without these books that I'm going to share, you will be able to understand Aristotle, of course, and yet he will be a bit difficult, sometimes impenetrable. With them, he will become your guide, and he will become your teacher, the way he was to Alexander himself. Today we live in a very strange world, and I think Aristotle is particularly important, because we live in an age when opinions masquerade themselves as arguments, where feelings masquerade themselves as ethics, where utopias are masquerading themselves as politics. Aristotle gives us a way out, not because he was this infallible figure, but because he was rigorous in his thinking. His method, personally to me, taught me how I can define my goals and stop chasing vain ambitions. He taught me how to distinguish carefully between things that look similar and yet are different by their nature. But most importantly, Aristotle taught me how to put my ideas and my knowledge into practice, how to put it against reality and not just live in theory. Aristotle is a life-changing thinker. I would like to show you what exactly I mean before I will jump into the books, because imagine somebody telling you that you should just be yourself. It sounds like a very wise piece of advice, but Aristotle would ask him, which self? The self that wants to stay in bed whole day, or the self that wants to accomplish something? Which self do you mean? The self that is your best or your worst? Or take another example that I would like to bring from my personal life. We talk constantly about diet and exercise, and yet someone like myself will restrict myself completely for 1 month and then indulge myself limitlessly in another. I'll really torture myself with exercise for 1 month and then not move at all in the next month. Aristotle would call this a failure to find the mean. And the mean isn't some compromise. It is the right amount of movement that will fuel your body, that will fuel your goals, that will fuel your life. It is not average. It is the fitting response to reality, to your particular reality. That's what reading Aristotle teaches you to find. And once you see it, once you learn it, you can't unsee it. So let me share with you where to start. I believe that a great book on philosophy needs to accomplish these 3 simple things. First, it needs to tell you enough about their life and give you context. Second, it needs to tell you about key works and why they matter. And third, it should show you how those works and how those ideas are applicable today. Edith Hall's Aristotle Way does all these three perfectly. She gives you the essentials. She first tells you about Aristotle's life in Macedon, in Athens, in his Lyceum, and how it all evolved into what we know today as peripatetic school of philosophy. Peripatetic means walking while thinking, and this is what Aristotle used to do. It's a subject of another book. I won't jump deep into it. It's a beautiful story in itself. And then what she perfectly does, she maps the territory. She tells you about Aristotle's ethics, his politics, Rhetoric, Poetics. She tells you why those ideas actually matter. But of course, what she does exceptionally well, and she's a brilliant writer, she's one of the best scholars on Aristotle of today, she tells you and shows you how those ideas that were written 2 millennia ago are applicable to your life today. And this is an amazing entry point for those of you who want to familiarize yourself with Aristotle. So get this book. It will be down in the description, definitely. If you want more introductory books, if you want even briefer books than Edith Hall's one, I would really recommend you to read Jonathan Barnes's book called Aristotle, A Very Short Introduction. And then there is another book called written by Jonathan Lear, and it's called Aristotle, Desire to Understand. All these three books, Edith Hall's, Jonathan Barnes's, and Jonathan Lear's, are just amazing books to have on your shelf. But remember one thing. Reading about Aristotle is like reading restaurant reviews. Eventually, you need to taste the food yourself. The best place to start tasting Aristotle is to read his Nicomachean Ethics. It answers the question that matters: how should we live? Aristotle's answer isn't a mood, it is a craft. In contrast to mediocre philosophers, which will give you a blanket advice such as be yourself, Aristotle gives you instructions how you can find meaning, happiness in your particular life circumstance, because my life is different from yours, as it was for Aristotle. So the techniques and instructions need to suit those nuances. And for him, a good life is steady activity of virtue. And virtue is like a thermostat, not like a thermometer, because thermometer shows you the temperature, whilst thermostat allows you to adjust it. You need to be able to regulate your life. This is where we come to the concept called the mean. It is one of the greatest concepts that I apply in my life. What is the mean? It's not the average. It's not compromise. The mean is the right response calibrated to your particular situation. It is a perfect calibration of your life. Once again, let me give you an example. Think about courage. What is courage? Courage is not rushing into a meaningless battle when you're not prepared, when you're not ready. And courage is not rushing away from the battle that you need to fight. It is going into the battle that you must fight, battle that you are prepared and for which you have appropriate tools. Courage is exacting middle, governed by reason and trained through practice. But this book is not just about courage. It's about everything. How much to eat, how to handle your money, how to speak truth without cruelty, how to feel angry at the right things at the right time with the right measure. This is a manual for building a character, and it is mind-blowing to think that one of the greatest teachers, a teacher to Alexander the Great himself, gave us this manual and made it publicly available. So get Nicomachean Ethics. This is non-negotiable. You must have it if you are serious. After the Ethics, there are books by Aristotle which you need to pick according to your need. And there are two books that I would like to tell you about. The first one is Rhetoric. If you work in a place where you need to persuade, where you need to lead, where you work with words, you need to read Rhetoric, because Aristotle dissects persuasion into character, reason, and feeling. And he shows you how arguments work, how credibility is built, or destroy it, and how emotions move our hearts. After reading Rhetoric, you'll never listen to a pitch or a political argument in the same way. If you work with stories, if you are a writer, if you are a creator, one of the best books that you can read is Poetics. It is very short, sharp, and brutally clear. It explains to you why imitation moves us and why plot is more important than spectacle, and why recognition of a viewer in the characters that you describe is important, and how you can apply this. Every great screenwriter, novelist, and perhaps every great content creator used and learned from this 2,000-year-old manual on how to write great stories. Once you have mastered ethics and you've chosen the secondary book, there is more by Aristotle that wait for you. There is his Poetics, Metaphysics, and there is another popular book that I would recommend for more advanced readers. It is Armand-Marie Leroy's book called Lagoon, The Lagoon, a beautiful book. I think I'll put it on the screen here and in the description. But I would really tell you that your path forward is this. Start with Edith Hall's Aristotle's Way. This is a must. You have to have this for entry point. Then read Nicomachean Ethics. I beg you, read it. It's just such an amazing book, and it will serve to you as your foundation. Add Rhetoric if you work with speech and persuasion, or Poetics if you work with stories. All of these books will be linked down in the description. Here's what I know. What I realized is that you who is watching this now, and actually me who is recording this, we are tired of shallow thinking. We are tired of being pushed around by bad arguments. We are tired of not having a framework to live well. And I believe Aristotle gives us that framework, but only, as he said to Alexander, if we are ready to put genuine effort. The secret is to read and then to practice. Practice until the ideas become reflexes, until we feel that we can catch the sloppy thinking that we have. That's the edge that Alexander the Great wanted to keep secret from us. And since Aristotle violated his wishes and went against his best student, let's say, we should utilize it. And what is shocking, it is still here on the page, waiting for someone willing to do the work. The question is, will we do it? I hope you enjoyed this video. All the books will be linked down below. As I mentioned, there is much deeper way to look at Aristotle. There are other books to read, both introductory and deep dives. I would like to make a video where I'll dive deeper into Aristotle, depending if you would like to, of course. But I didn't want to jump into his Metaphysics and his Poetics because there are books that deserve their own videos, if that makes sense. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to this channel. If you like this video, please hit that like button and leave a comment, because these things immensely help a small channel like my own. It gives a boost, it gives a signal that more people need to watch it. If you consider this video being worth someone else to watch by, please do this. Thank you once again for your support, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.